Hello.
Welcome to the Bible Study Girl podcast. This is Sarita. You may know me as Bible Study Girl. And the hello that you heard was from the executive producer of this podcast, Bible Study Brother.
It is I, Bible Study Brother, but I am also known as Icarus Gray over at Gray Area Anime. But this is the most wonderful podcast of your day. Please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel down in the comments, so you can get updated on all the lovely little things that we do over there. They're a little bit different from what we do here.
Fantastic. Great promo, brother. I never know what you're going to plug, but I think you're on trend here lately with plugging the Bible Study Girl YouTube page, which I suppose is a fantastic thing. It's been a while since I've added any new content to the Bible Study Girl YouTube
By the time
page.
they hear this, there'll be new stuff.
But will you let me?
Okay,
No?
Go ahead.
Okay. But there is a 40-day series of me going through Purpose Driven Life. That book is written by Rick Warren. It also prompted Bible Study Brother to name this Bible Study Girl book club series. And that is why we are in book club today. Thank you, brother, for that. So today we are on chapter 12 of the Boundaries Workbook. The Boundaries Workbook was written by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. I said workbook, but it is a book that will work on you. It's not technically a workbook, but it's a book that will work on you. And we've been going through exploring boundaries, why they are helpful in our lives, issues with boundaries that we may have. And we came upon a big issue when it came to discussing chapter 12. We're recording this episode a little later than we typically do in the week because I had a revelation with my brother. Before we started recording, I asked him, so is chapter 12 in your book Boundaries in the Digital Age? And he's like, no. If you're just now listening to this, you probably haven't heard this story before, but I read through the Boundaries Workbook years and years ago. It was recommended to us by our family therapist. He felt strongly that as a collective unit, my brother, Bible Study Brother, and my mom, Bible Study Mom, and I would benefit from reading a book about boundaries and what's appropriate with boundaries. I went out, purchased the book. I think I read like the first part of the book and then I walked away because this is a difficult read if you are a person that likes to self-examine, right? So I later picked up the book, finished reading it. Difficult read, but difficult in that it worked on me. I felt like I saw so many things in the book about myself personally that I didn't like and that I knew I needed to change, right? So years later, my therapist was like, hey, I'm having a boundaries in-person class. It meets at my church. We'll meet weekly and go through the chapters together as a collective group. Cool. I decided to go. Well, before we went, he's like, the Boundaries book has been updated. It's been updated and it's been expanded to include a chapter on boundaries in the digital age. When they wrote the book, boundaries and the digital age wasn't a relevant topic. So they decided to update it. So I have the updated copy. And that is the only thing that prompted me to ask my brother, hey, I'm not sure if we're reading from the same edition, and we were not.
Also, just so you guys know, she doesn't just call me brother. We are actually from the same biological mother. That's one of those weird things she says every episode. She didn't say this episode, but I find it funny, so I figured I'd say it for her.
Well, I have to say it because you can't just assume that people are listening and they know we're related. We don't know where they're listening from or how they came across the podcast. So if people call each other brother and sister, especially because this is we talk about our faith and our religion, like brother and sister, I could just be calling you brother because you're my brother in Christ.
You could be, but I guess we never use it like because normally you have to say a name after when you're like platonically or spiritually referring. I don't be like Sister Sarita, Sister Fulcher, you know. But I do understand
Right.
what you're saying.
Right. Plays on words and people trying to be clever. I just wanted to be clear we're related. Because also sometimes, we talk reckless to each other and I don't want people to be
Oh yeah, and she is
like,
my big
oh.
sister. So let me also make that very clear. You can tell from the conversations that she is the big sister. So,
But Sweet Baby thinks you're older than me.
I bet she does. I bet she does.
Sweet Baby is like, oh, you're the big sister. Yeah, he's not the big brother, sis. I'm the big sister.
uh,
Oh, anyway, I digress. So I think it's astonishing and amazing just how much technology has taken over our lives. And I think a discussion about boundaries and the digital age is very relevant to the time that we live in and a very necessary conversation. Because when we grew up in our teenage years, technology was, well, more so when you grew up, but when I grew up, mm-mm. I had a cell phone that was connected to the car. Mama
oh,
had it installed in the car so that when I was driving, if something happened, I could call for help.
I wish. Wait, is it the same number or was it a different number? Because
No, it was a different number. I don't know. I don't remember
oh
what the
man, I
number
don't
is.
remember
It
that
was,
number, but
I
yeah.
don't either. But it was like a call in case of emergency phone. It was not like something to carry in my pocket, right? By the time you grew up, technology was more. I grew up with dial-up internet. Did you?
I mean, yes, I grew up with all the same things. Like I was at an like our age difference. By the time stuff started coming around, like I was just using them at a like this was my base. Whereas it was like, oh, this is really new. Like we went through. We had a. I joke about this all the time because we had an electric typewriter. Oh,
It's called a word processor.
well, word processor, but still.
Yeah.
We had a word processor, but we also had a typewriter at some point too, like a literal electric typewriter. I know I remember that.
I don't recall that. I recall the word processor.
We had the word processor, but we also had a literal electric typewriter. It was very short that we had that before we got the word processor. Um. Anyway, the point I was more so making is that technology has existed almost in the same way. Like, no, I didn't get to like have the cell phone in the car, but like I did start with like the base block cell phone kind of thing and like dial up internet. I was always on the internet, always in the living room. Like the funniest thing is I feel like the kid who had the tablet and just knows how to use the tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Cause when I was saved but not acting such, I had all of the like parental controls and knew how to like change my allowances and everything and in terms of what I could access, what I couldn't. Had one that was the one that kept all of the stuff restricted that was supposed to be restricted, and then had
Mm-hmm.
another one that didn't.
So I didn't even realize you had parental controls on the internet that you were able to access. Interesting. I didn't realize that. So really, boundaries with the digital age weren't really a concern for us, really, not truly, not like it is today. Now everyone is digital. We have access to the internet 24/7. It was not
Mm,
like that growing up. So we are in
right.
a new day and we are in a new age. And like I said previously, a discussion about boundaries in the digital age is very timely and very appropriate. So let me ask you a question. When you wake up in the morning, can you walk me through your day with your digital technology? Like when you wake up in the morning, do you grab your phone and instantly start scrolling?
I normally check my notifications. So
Okay.
wake up, grab my glasses, or at least I interact with my phone and like stopping my alarm or something.
Mm-hmm.
From the night before, I have rain sounds or something playing, so I'm either letting that play because I need to go to the bathroom. Um, Check my notifications to see if anybody's text me because by 9 o'clock it's 11 o'clock there. It's people have been at work. Everybody that I, whether it's my wife and people I work with and everything else, are already up, even if it's
Right.
been like a couple hours. So I check to see if anybody's texted me. If I go to the bathroom or whatever, we do the normal, like checking your timeline or whatever at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am more like my mother in a certain way because I go to my games. So I'll go
Mm-hmm.
to my games and like do my daily stuff for one or two of the games that I play. Then normally it's YouTube immediately. That's my TV.
Okay.
And so I'll watch whatever new thing comes for the day for a little bit, get up. If I have a new game that I'm playing, then that's the rest of my day most days when I'm like not being productive, clearly.
So do you feel like your phone is within reach at all times pretty much?
Oh,
You're
always.
constant Yeah, you're constantly connected.
Yeah.
I think and the book goes into detail about this that we are living in an age. It used to be if you weren't at home and somebody called, they would leave you a voicemail. Or
No
if
one
you were
checks voicemails anymore. It is
nobody checks voicemail.
infuriating.
Or if you were at work, if somebody sent an email, you could only check it when you got back to work. And
Or when
now
you
we're
were on
living in an
break.
age, right? Now we're living in an age when people can contact you at the drop of a dime. And quite often the expectation is that you're going to respond instantly because
Mhm.
we know just from walking through your day, your phone is right there.
It's right there. Like, and if it's not, there's an issue. And
Right. Your
and
phone is right.
the other big issue with it is how much money is digital for us in this age.
Hmm.
Even from your like when you started getting more adult responsibilities, debit cards were a thing. And
Right.
like for us, like yeah, you would keep some cash on you because there were a lot of places that were still like, cash only or whatever, but you knew what those places were. Everywhere else, you're taking your debit card. Well, not really. You did cash for a while. I think probably halfway through when you were in college.
I
Cause
think we were big
yeah,
on cash. I wrote a lot
yeah.
of checks as a college
Yeah.
student. Checks are not a
Yeah.
thing anymore, but I did
Well,
write
no,
some
they
checks.
still a thing. There's
I
still things
mean,
at places that are like, it's stupid that you're asking me to do this, that I can't just pay for this online, DMV.
so checks are still a thing, but not really.
Yeah.
Do you have any checks?
No, that
I
that
didn't
part
think so.
annoys me. I feel because I feel like I be wanting to ask like because there are the random things that I always ask you to have a check, and I'm like, but why? But why?
So the book gives us a beautiful, I do have more questions for you, but the book
Okay.
gives us a beautiful look at choosing freedom and avoiding destruction because we do live in
Mm,
a digital age. And so they have a checklist, things you can look for to determine whether or not your constant access to technology is negatively impacting your life.
okay.
So if your technology, and when I say technology, I'm not talking about or the digital age, I'm not just talking about social media. I'm talking about text messages, your emails, video chatting with people, just that constant barrage of information and always being accessible to people, that's definitely caused some deficit. So if any of these things are happening to you, these are signs that you're in danger of your digital life controlling you. So if you have loss of sleep or you stay up later than you should because you're on your phone doing stuff, If you're late to work or school or any appointments you have, if your body is actually suffering physical discomfort from sitting up, engaging in gaming or whatever. If you're distracted in real time conversations, you need to think about your social media boundaries. If you lose focus or productivity at work or school, think about it, guys. If you experience relational complications or tension, if it's causing problems in your relationship, your constant need to be connected to the world, um, if you invest more time or emotional energy in online relationships than in person relationships, there are people that have created entire communities online.
Mm.
And I don't frown upon online community, but they do go into detail about, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but about the value of having personal connections with people. And I'm not saying that you can't grow a relationship with people online. You absolutely can. But I said I'll talk about that a little bit later. If you waste time that you can't afford to waste, your digital life.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something with our age group of millennials or whatever generation we supposedly are. Um, like everything digital, at least from my perspective, should lead to something in person. Like
Right.
I don't you like this is supplementary. And I think that's more like a harder boundary to like navigate because they're navigating the boundary from people who are like I know who they talking about, and I do have bits and pieces of the checklist that you were like going through or whatever, but others is just like no, like I value in person relationships because I don't need the miscommunication, and I know that there's miscommunication in my text messages and
Brother,
everything
that's why I
else.
was going to break it down later. He talks about that. You're skipping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah,
Can I finish my list?
yeah.
If
Go
you're
ahead, go ahead.
mentally preoccupied with technology, even when you're not using it. So that's like if you're waiting for that text from that person. Because I text you and you haven't texted me back. Like you keep checking that phone because you can't think of nothing else. Like I need an instant response.
Oh,
Um,
funny. You just made me check to see if there was a text I missed from you.
See? If you say things online that you would not say in person.
mm,
if
oh, oh my
you
God.
if
We,
you
oh,
if
Facebook, bro.
you if you lie, exaggerate, or otherwise massage the truth, and if you experience anxiety, stress, depression, all those are signs that your digital life is in you're in danger of your digital life controlling you and you not controlling your digital life. And so that's why I said they talk about choosing freedom and avoiding destruction. Um, they come with the verse from First Corinthians 6:12. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything, right? So we're not saying technology is bad, that you shouldn't use technology. Like Bible Study Brothers said, quite often when you are okay, so there are two types of digital communication, right? And they use fancy terms. I'm going to use them too and then back away from them just to make the point. Bear with me because I have a lot of. Okay, so there's synchronous communication. That's when we can react to each other in real time. So, like Bible Study Brother and I are not in person, but we can see each other on Zoom camera. We're reacting to each other in real time. So, synchronous communication would be face-to-face communication with somebody, video communication with someone, and then a phone call with someone. Because I can say something and he can immediately respond. We can check each other's reactions. There's not a delay. The second type of communication that we come across is asynchronous communication, and that is the email, that's the texting, and that's the social media. And like Bible Study Brothers said, when you have that time delay and that time gap and we're not truly engaging in real time, that's when communication breaks down. That's
Immediately.
right, because you cannot read the tone that someone said something in. how many text messages have gotten us in trouble? Like we infer tone from the message that was sent, and the
Oh,
person
dog,
is
a
like,
million. Like
right,
even when you start an argument and you like might send something in all caps, I
right.
cannot tell you how like loud I'm yelling or whatever the case may be. Like for you, you might be like, "Oh, you yelling at me like I'm a fool," or "You yelling at me like," you know what I'm saying? Like, and it could just be a an aggressive like, "Stop doing this," like, or "Pay attention because I'm putting it in caps," kind of thing.
Correct. Or it could be like if I'm on a computer, I had it on all caps work. I wasn't thinking,
Yeah,
I was not trying to yell at you. And you caused this whole communication breakdown.
yeah,
And so he talks about in the book how difficult it is to, it can be difficult to effectively communicate with someone if the only way you communicate with email, texting, and social media, because you're losing a lot of the communication nuances that happen. Again, not saying that these methods of communication are evil. They're not. None of this is, they can be used for evil, right? Not saying the communication is evil, but it's saying that you do need to set boundaries to make sure that you are not living a life that's strictly um, online and you're not getting that real-time feedback and real-time communication. I would say I think the newer generations have more difficulty relating to people because they are so used to the digital world,
yeah.
those
And they just spent 2 years in a
in
pandemic
isolation.
where they couldn't or were not supposed to interact with people, school online, and then you had to go. Like there were so many instances that I didn't even think of. You know, like uh, elementary school kids that came out of COVID and had to go to junior high that had to go to high school that had their first 2 years of college. You know, like taken or kids who have like been going up to graduation. Um, all of these different transitions that like have caused an attachment to the only thing you could do to interact with people. So
Correct.
it's crazy.
And I think what you brought up is the perfect case study in why, yes, we were still connected to people, but from the pandemic, there's a difference
Oh yeah.
for being connected to people digitally and being connected to people in person. Of course, this chapter was written way pre-pandemic. Didn't know the pandemic was on the horizon, but it's amazing how the principles in the book have shown to be so true. Look
Hmm.
at, like you said, the impaired social skills people have. I know with my profession, when you graduate, you have to do what's called a clinical fellowship for 9 months. But even before you graduate, you have to provide therapy to people in person, right? It's completely different. During COVID, a lot of speech therapy students had to do it via Zoom. That is a different experience. That is a different animal. And so a lot of graduates came out feeling unprepared, right?
Hmm.
My field you can really feel unprepared, even with that hands-on practice. But imagine going from COVID to not having physical contact to like, oh, now I'm supposed to have physical contact. I don't know how to do this. I've never
Imagine
done this before.
testing somebody from like currently right now. You can see some of the things that I'm doing with my mouth, but
Right.
the things that or through Zoom pause um that you need to be aware of, but you can't determine those things that like you told us about in regards to like the things you have to pay attention to in terms of like,
Right.
am I saying my B's or my C's correctly? Like you
I
can
mean, I
get an
can hear you.
inkling,
Like you
but
said, I
yeah,
can hear you, but there's a different level of
yeah.
connection. And you talked about the kids that are going transitioning. Think about all the babies that were born that didn't have to interact with people. It was just the people in their
Oh
home.
yeah,
And
no,
now
no, we have one.
right. And now you want me to be around
You
people.
know,
Like, this is a big
like
transition. So I think that should show us that it's important for us to continue to have in person communication. The blessing for me in the digital age and social media is that we are able to stay connected, right? So even though you live across the country, I can see your face on a regular basis and physically see you and see how you're doing. But I think you would agree with me that in person, when we see each other, it's like,
It's better because the energy, the full, like, you cannot feel somebody's full energy through a thing because you are, it's basically like just a visual chat room is all that
right.
it is. And the reason I say that is because, some people get emboldened. Like, if we got into an argument right now and we were like, I'm going to fight you, what's actually going to happen? Nothing.
I'm
Like,
gonna text you aggressively.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
we're going to not talk to each other and then, like, cause all these anxieties before we meet in person or whatever the case is. But it's just not the same, what's funny is I really do hope that NSYNC does this reunion tour. I know that is random, but the reason I'm saying that is because this whole conversation has made me think of one song off
What?
No Strings Attached. And I don't know if you remember this, but I'm sure you do. Digital, digital, get down. Just
I
you.
do. I remember that song.
Like,
I keep most songs up here in that old
yeah.
noggin.
And it's like, I'm laughing because I'm like, that was like the time of like, just saying you can be 20,000 miles away and I can see you, and baby, you can see me. And I know for a fact that there were like video conferencing was not everywhere.
It
Like,
wasn't.
that
No,
was a
not at
hundred
all.
percent like celebrities and business people were probably the only people that really had access to video
Yeah, at the
conferencing in
time
that
that
way.
yeah, definitely at the time that that album came out. Because I
Yeah.
would say even so my homegirl has been married for like 10 years. I mean,
Hmm.
she's been out of state for 10 years. And we tried video messaging when she first moved, and it was not at that point in time. We had Skype, and
Skype was frustrating, bro.
it was so it just technology has come such a long way, and we're able to reach out to so many other people. I think my big takeaway from the chapter for me personally is
Hmm.
that yes, technology is great. It has personal advantages, but you don't want to be bound to technology. You don't want to be consumed by always being in touch with people that you miss out on the in-person relationships that you're having. One rule for us as a family that I had to make it like I had to say it out loud, but
Hmm.
you know how I feel about it.
No
How do
phones during food times.
I
Go
don't
down.
like it like
Cause me and mama, like, ooh, we were so bad. Like, cause we would go out, like, y'all need to put your phones up. And we would put our phones up so we could like talk and engage. And what's funny is it's not like we don't understand. It's just the addiction and everything else is so strong in that regard. Because I be doing the same thing. And it's normally currently like with digital things that like clearly take time. So my lovely wife loves, and I mean loves her audiobooks. And if she's playing an
she
audiobook,
put me on. I appreciate her.
yeah, like the audiobooks be like, you really have to be engaged because you have to listen. Like, if you're
Right.
reading, I can reread that page again and again until you stop bothering me or whatever the case may be. Um, but I get like furious, almost in a way of like, man, if you listen to this, because she'll have her headphones in, and it's like, yo, you are into this book, and it's like, it's not like reading, so I can't like, take the book from you or like hold the page, so you don't lose your page, because I always try to be respectful in that regard, because I know I'd be furious if I lose my spotty book. um but it's all of these other like things that are starting to like come in, because the capitalistic convenience of America that we live in means they are not thinking about your socializations. They are just thinking about the money aspect of it. So I really am thankful for the stuff that you've kind of taught me through this, because it's just like, remember to be aware, because if you're not, you're going to just get caught up in something that's just not going to be beneficial for you at all.
And it's so easy to do. I'm not so although I post on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I'm not bound to social media that way. I'm
Mm,
bound to text messages. I'm checking my email frequently because I need to know, like, okay, do I need to pick this patient up? Like what's going on? You
yeah.
know? And so that's how the digital age has me bound. And like, even I felt so checked, like, oh, checking text messages. Like, I do need to chill out on that. So one of the ways to test whether or not you are addicted to technology is to take 24 hours off, read some books, get some fresh air. You're not responding to any email messages. Your phone is off.
Oof.
If you, and see how you do, if you feel withdrawal symptoms, like I have to play this game, I have to look this up on Google. Oh, what is everybody else doing? You you don't have control over your technology. Your technology has control over you. And that is a great test to see where you're at and where you stand. Yes, I do realize we use those things,
Mm,
but we're living in a day and time when we, like I said, 1 Corinthians 6:12, you have the right to do anything, but you should not be mastered by anything.
the
You know, my
worst
pastor has
part.
been,
I'm.
you don't
Ooh.
know this, he's
Uh,
been teaching on Wednesday nights about strongholds, who's
oh, look at
holding
him.
who,
Look,
right?
that's because that's what well we go over strongholds in the freedom uh in the knowing freedom, which there was a link in the last episode or the episode before. Anyway, there's a link somewhere around there.
It was the last episode. It was
If
the last
not,
episode.
throw it also down at this one. Something that can help you notice strongholds as well, because strongholds,
Right.
you don't really think about them in a lot of different ways because you don't really know what's affecting you, and you also don't know the root of it.
Right. That's what my pastor has been teaching on. It's meant to be,
I'm
brother.
telling
Uh,
you.
he talked about the fact that strongholds are not things that are holding you. You are holding them to
Mm,
help you cope, to help you get through life. And so,
mm,
like you said, brother, you need to get to the root of that and you need to
yeah.
really think about it. And so, quite often, I think we can use technology as a crutch. It's a symptom of a different stronghold we have. Go ahead.
Question: how would 24 hours without this stuff go for you?
It would go great for me, brother.
Mm,
You know I'm Hermit Crab McGee.
yeah.
I will take bubble
um,
baths. I will read books. Uh I
does
could sit out.
so not my just the phone? Is that what they're asking for?
They're asking for, yeah, your technology. Like you get away from this phone and don't sit up and watch TV all day. Like get away from not to find something to replace it. So not to go to your Xbox or your PlayStation because you can't have your phone for 24 hours. And even if you can't physically, even if you can't do it, how does it make you feel when you hear 24 hours without it?
Well, I went like so. I asked you so I could then say what how I'm thinking in my mind. I'm like,
Okay.
I could do it. The
Mm-hmm.
only issue is I like music wise, I do not want to go back to writing on paper. It is not something that I uh do anymore. It's not so much that I can't. It's just it's really annoying because of the way I kind of like can see my thoughts and I'm able to structure like, spelling the word right, giving myself some space. I've always written in pen. That's another strange thing for
Okay,
me.
so really it's talking about like, can you stay away from texting? Can you stay away from your email? Can you stay off of social media? I
Oh, if
guess
I can turn my thing on like do not disturb and I'm able
right. You
to
can turn it
just
on do not
okay,
disturb and you can
okay.
use it
Cause
to
in my mind I'm like, if I got to like sit it like away, like I cannot like look at it, touch it, or use it like for like the calculator or stuff like that,
you
then
can
like I'm having
calculate, I suppose. Can't send a text message, you can't email. Like you said, if you put it on do not disturb and you need it to write music, but like really, what else would you need it for? Maybe an alarm for the next day.
just alarm and music.
Right.
to like play the music off of or whatever. That would be an easy day for me. If you're proposing it like that, if I could just like, if they gave us the function, which I think they do in certain kind of ways outside of do not disturb, to just like everything else cannot be opened until this, and I can only open my notes, then yeah, I'm in there.
So
That'd be
they
easy.
give, if you are a parent and you have children, I will tell you this is how dated this chapter is. Cause like I said, it is more up to date than it was, but this is so dated because they talk about allowing your teenagers to have access to phones and social media. 8-year-olds have phones now. Like it's
Yeah.
not just teenagers. So, and that's how fast
Oh,
technology is changing and moving.
I have some encouragements for you parents out there. Because I game, I know that a lot of your the systems that the kids have parental controls on there that you can restrict their time or only give them a certain amount of time, and then they'll be locked out until either like the next day or until you give them more time or whatever. So there are a lot of things that can assist you and help you. You do have to learn how to like get to those systems,
Yeah, you do.
but that's a small price to pay if you're trying to like regulate and make sure that they're able to like function.
Right. And the internet can open up the world, opens your child up to the world. So, as a parent, there are definitely different measures you need to take to ensure that your child is as safe as they possibly can be. This was a great chapter. Like, it's really meaty. Like, he goes into detail about how, okay, so one of the authors gives an example of real life boundaries and boundary setting. So, his daughter, I'm going to tell this and then I'm trying to wrap it up.
You
But
good,
his
like,
daughter,
because this is really good information. Like, even for people that are like listening to us, this podcast a lot of times is to empower the testimony, but it also empower your discipleship. So
right.
we're hoping to empower you to go. So I don't think you going long, especially with this, because this might be the podcast that somebody needed to hear. Like you might only be getting all of your spiritual food from digital means because you could have. That was another, in them 2 years in the pandemic.
Right.
So continue with your point. I do think it's very encouraging. I think God is moving in what you're saying.
Okay, so the author, his daughter, his teenage daughter, I think she was in middle school, and they got a new principal at their school.
Hmm.
And his daughter came home from school very upset one day. He's like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "The principal told us that we can't have an Instagram account." He was like, "You mean like you can't access it at school?" She was like, "No, he told us we have to get rid of our Instagram account if we have one. Like we can't have one, period, or we'll get put out." And the dad, the author is like, weird. I understand the principle of not using your Instagram at school, but to tell me that my child can't have an Instagram account, period, that's weird. And he was saying that she uses her Instagram account to stay in touch with, because young kids, they don't do
This
Facebook.
is the
They
weirdest
do.
thing. But no, 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 no. It's not that they don't use Facebook. They do not give out their number. Like
Right.
they only communicate on Instagram, Snapchat. Like getting that is like getting a number. And I'm like,
Correct.
but I can
And
block you
so
on this and you will never know. Like, anyway, go ahead. It's
And
weird.
so the author is like, he's the author of boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I know what a healthy boundary is, and I don't like this. How you gonna tell me that my baby cannot have an Instagram account? Period. That's how she's connected to family. Everybody that lives across, like that is her. That's her thing, and we're fine with that as parents. So he goes up to the school with his research, his documentation, like this is why, talking about boundaries. I wrote a book on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, da da da. The principal is like, I hear you. I'm not changing my mind. And he said it's because they had so many fights and incidents at school based on things that happened
Uh,
on Instagram. And it was carrying over into the school environment. And he didn't want to deal with that. And so his solution was no Instagram, period. Like I said, the principal did not change his mind. And the author was like, I I don't agree with his decision. It still is not the right decision to me because they need to learn how to set appropriate boundaries for
Oh
themselves in middle
man.
school. But what can I do? That's his boundary. That's his decision. He, as a parent, he still had other options. My child doesn't have to go to that school. You know what I'm saying? But like this man is
Even
firm
if you
on
go
his
to that
boundaries.
school, how are you searching? Like, are you searching my email?
I don't listen.
Like
I
what?
don't know how he was.
See,
My thing is, I don't know how he was going to enforce the rule, but somebody was going to snitch if something went down at school.
oh, for sure. Like, but
Based off.
it's still like, but at the same time, it's like, look, you can't talk about your Instagram in school. Like, you just can't. Like, and you can't. I would not give out to any of your like your schoolmates. If you want to keep your Instagram, you need to know how to keep your Instagram.
Right. Keep it on the hush.
Like,
Um, but he
boy.
talked about how that was not a concern growing up for him, of course, and having to adjust as a parent to the way like bullying and stuff goes on.
That's what I
All this.
wanted to talk about. The last thing, and we'll get off of this, but I remember the digital change and when it like changed for me and understanding what kids were like starting to deal with,
Mhm.
especially over the last 10 years, I should say. Because was I maybe 10 or 14, maybe 15 if I'm stretching out. So I remember when World Star started to get really, really popular initially. And it's a website that just has a bunch of just junk is all I'm gonna say. It's just junk. Um, and what they were posting, like they started to post a lot of fights, and
Mhm.
this would be like school fights. It seemed like a lot of the time, and so I remember either having a conversation with you or somebody because I know we've had conversations about this where I was like, I cannot imagine going through that. The level of like this fight at school that maybe I didn't do anything. I got jumped when I was in high school, and I cannot imagine that tape just being forever, like
Oh
being on the
man.
internet and just being a thing. And it wasn't like I got messed up or nothing by the account of most people that I went to school with. I got up and did my thing, but that's neither here nor there. The point of it though is like I was stressed enough then. I can only imagine like this thing that when your parents like try to encourage you back then, hey, some kids are mean, you gotta defend yourself, blah blah blah. Like that don't work. It can't work
Mm-mm.
because even if I do, like, and I lose or I win, like the loss is probably forever. Like, and if
Right.
and if and for the way people are with facts and stuff, they're not even gonna be like, well, I believe you. If it didn't happen on the internet, it didn't happen. It's how like that generation feels. And so I encourage y'all, man, just understand that there is a different life that is happening in front of you. You
There is.
know, whereas things were more of like a choice for you, other people it's not a choice. They have to engage, whether especially like with the kids and their emails. I didn't have to have an email until maybe high school, maybe junior high. And even then, like it was to work on the like you could email your teacher on like one of those programs like about assignments and stuff, but majority of the
Oh,
time
they baby, we didn't have that option.
you would like call or talk to the person.
Right.
Um, but it wasn't like a lot, is what I'm saying. So now you're dealing with like you have to have these. It's almost like getting your social security number the way that you have to like interact digitally. Because you got to have it for this. Some kids have to have it for like the cafeteria, for like food lunch or not food lunch, lunch. Um, and if we're not understanding or praying over these things or understanding the mental anguish that goes along with these new technologies, we are severely underservicing those who really need us and really
Right.
need a place to understand the healthy boundaries and the fact that because FOMO is real with kids,
He
bro.
talks about that in the chapter is real.
Yeah,
It's not even just kids, it's us
yeah.
too. Like he classifies FOMO as in I sent you this text message, what's taking you so long to respond. People don't owe you an instant response, but we have become
Hmm.
conditioned to that instant response.
And don't
He
let you
talks
know that
about
the person read the text. Oh,
oh boy.
oh, oh
Oh
my
boy.
God.
Oh
Like,
boy.
read receipts have ruined so many
Many
people.
Many, but that's that communication. Like I said, that's that communication that's not face to face, and it causes anxiety and all these other things. And at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to not let technology master us, but to master technology. Technology is there to help us, not rule us.
Yeah.
And so we have to be very conscious of it. I felt myself getting checked quite frequently during the chapter, like, I do that a lot, like I could do better in that regard.
I'm
And
trying
I
to get better too. Like I know sometimes like especially like I think I need like not a fidget spinner, but something similar. I know that was like all the rage, before the pandemic. But because like a lot of times when people are talking to me, if it's like a really difficult conversation, I have to like play a game, like or something on my phone so I can like just listen, but also like tone down whatever extra angers I have. Because in my mind, I'm like able to like, okay, I need this stimulation so I'm not like overly aggressive to whatever it is you're saying. And I just need to listen. So I'm going to like try and use my brain to focus on this. And I'm hearing you, hearing everything you're saying, and I'm listening, and I'm not like armed with like just sitting with the entire weight of whatever it is, and not responding incorrectly. Or at least I in my mind, I think that's how I want for it to be.
This is kind of a shift, but it's still talking about technology. So on like Instagram or well, not really Instagram, but like on Facebook, if
Mm-hmm.
you are friends with somebody and you don't like their posts annoy you, do you unfollow them? Stay friends, but you make it so
Mm.
you don't see their posts.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, real quick, real quick.
I think that is a healthy way to
Cause it's what you said earlier. If you fall into the category, like if I know you, and what they said earlier, if you feel inclined to not be truthful or say things on the internet that you would not say in real life, we out of here. Like, especially at
do
yeah,
you unfriend or you unfollow?
it depends. Like
Okay.
after 2008, it was a lot of unfollows.
Let me tell you.
2016, it was even more unfollows.
Let me tell you something. I okay, so I unfriended somebody. I wasn't super close to them, but I unfriended them. Okay, because I was like, you disturbing my spirit. So I ended up going to a baby shower.
uh-huh.
The person takes a group picture, like, ah. Then they come up to me, they're like, I'm trying to tell you this picture, but it won't look. Are we not friends?
I remember this.
I don't think you really do because you don't know the person.
I don't know the person, but I remember you telling me. I feel like because you've had this happen more than once.
Right. I was like, if not for this baby shower, you wouldn't have even known. I was like, oh, what? What was
Dog,
your
I
friend?
was
I
there,
was
and I
lying.
was one of the people that you did it too. And I was
What?
like, oh, when in the war of attrition that was what we went through, you unfollowed fully because I went and I was like, I wouldn't have even noticed if not by the time that we had like came back around. You was like, yeah, I did.
Did I unfollow or unfriend you?
You unfriended because we Because going back to being friends is like we've only been friends for like like a couple years since the incident. And I was like, dang, fam.
I remember I'm friending you, but I will
Oh,
unfriend.
fam. Oh, you did, bro. Like, oh,
Oh,
man.
that's hilarious. Wait,
I don't even post. Like, that's the crazy thing is, like, I'm not gonna pop up on your timeline in the way that other people would, because you know I don't post like that.
right.
I wasn't posting, but I wasn't subliminaling
No,
nothing.
neither one of us were. I'm not a subliminal post girl. It is what it is.
You
Like
was
if
just
I
like,
got
I don't even want to
if
see your face. Bye.
at all, get out of here.
Like not
See,
it's
that's
not
how
like it's
mad
not
I
like
was.
and it's not like I left all of these photos you got, but I understand.
That's hilarious. I didn't even realize I did that.
Girl.
But you have to do whatever you have to do to
Yeah.
protect your mental peace and
Yeah.
your mental health and well being.
Yeah.
So I was just curious about that. And I
Yeah.
also had one person. Let me tell you, Tamika was the devil though. She knew I unfollowed somebody because they post disturb my soul, and she'd be like, "So and so doing such and
Oh,
such."
what
Did
you
you know
finna say? She was.
Tamika was the devil?
Oh,
Yeah,
you don't consider that retribution for how you did me at all? Cause you listen, it was two devils in a pod. That's what we doing.
we were two devils. Listen,
Man,
she'd be
yo.
like, "So and so is doing such and such." Like, girl, you already know, because I don't want to hear that. It's fake, like you said. Like, it's
Oh
I don't.
yeah, like
I
you had there's a particular person, two people. Like, well, one I'll tell you because it's funny now. Because listen, my sister always knew how I actually felt about my wife. I was very against how I felt because I was like hurt from our breakup in high school. Well, technically it was college, but still. And so my sister never unfriended anybody that
I didn't. Me and your wife stayed Facebook friends, baby. I kept you
yeah.
updated on every action,
Like if
and
it was something,
were
I'll be heated
you
because
were
I
big
just
man.
I was trying my best not to think about her. And then the secondary thing is once she got done with that, she said, "Well, I found someone new." Because one of my family members will never listen to this. I don't even care if they do. Just lies all the time, continuously, nonstop. So I'm not following nothing. Like I don't want to hear nothing. Don't want to, this person burned a bridge with me long ago. Like anyway, and so she would tell me what they had like going on. Did you know that this happened? This is going on now. Baby number 7 kind of stuff. Like I'm like, what? Like I don't care. Like I don't want to know anything about this person, like at all. She's just like, man,
I know
this
who
was
you're talking
love and
about.
hip hop.
Right. I definitely know who you're talking about now. And they would never. They don't listen to this podcast,
Oh,
but
100%.
don't listen to that at all.
Like,
Too busy out there making baby 57. But that's their business, though. Anyway,
yeah,
I think the whole point
yeah. Sorry, y'all.
of the digital age discussion. Because, and see, that's another reason why I had to let people know that me and you are actually like related, because we know, like, we have relationship with folks and
Mm-hmm.
we know people in common, like for real deal. So you just have to set appropriate boundaries, whatever that is for you. Like I said already, or he shared with y'all, like one of mine has long been no phones. If we are out together as a family, spending time as a family, no, what? Put your phone up. I don't like it. I ain't liked it since phones came out. I've been old my whole life because I feel like if we're connecting, guys, we're connecting. If we don't see each other's faces, let's see each other's faces. And I would be interested to know if you guys are willing to share what kind of technology rules you have in your household, if they're spoken, unspoken. I am all about engagement and talking with y'all. And
And I
I
want to
want to,
know if y'all can do this 24 hours. And
And I want to
how
know
long you made it.
if anybody feels they can do the 24 hours, or just tell me how you feel when you heard me say 24 hours, all the excuses you came up with and reasons why you can't let it go. And that's something to check. Again, I'm keep going back to that scripture. You can do anything, but don't let it master you. You need to be mastering this technology. I think it's been a great discussion.
Yeah, we should
Um,
definitely do this more because I think the thing with this one is it has so many different branches
oh, it does, because we
that we
can
ain't even
talk
got
about
to.
your
We didn't talk about TV and our addictions on TV.
Oh, love TV. We
Mm-hmm.
also didn't talk about, like, I kind of touched on it with the personal boundaries, like how you address people that don't vibe with you. But we didn't
Mm-hmm.
talk about your own personal boundaries with like what you allow to be on social media about
Mm-hmm.
you, like what you're willing to share. So we could
Mm-hmm.
probably dig in deeper and go into detail because I actually have some real life personal
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
examples.
Just social media. We'll have a social media episode because this is the day and age we live in, and given that on this platform we are engaging with you via social media.
Correct.
Until we're doing conferences and things of that nature, I will continue to say that because when we're actually traveling and engaging with you in person, which is still a different level of engaging, because like
It's definitely different.
it's not gonna be it's not gonna always be what you think. Just
Right.
you know,
I I thank God for the digital age, for technology. It has given us the opportunity to reach the nations, literally.
hmm
And it's up to us to be respectful and good stewards of the technology that we have. And you have to have good boundaries to really muscle that thing out and use it. So I'm done. This was my teaching episode.
yeah,
The
and I
end.
appreciate it. We had a lot of fun. What's funny about it is this is the one where you would have had to do the least amount of teaching because all of these things I definitely understand because we are the age that grew up with the stuff coming around, and we are the definitely the generation that looks at people like, "What is wrong with you?" but also not understanding because that wasn't our our fight. So with
Right.
all that, make sure that you are hitting us up on the socials that are all located down in the description. The link to the Knowing Freedom thing to help address any other strongholds you may be dealing with or going through in your life is also down in the description. We appreciate you guys, and remember, it is not I preach or just you preach, but we preach.
And until we meet again, guys, keep preaching. I promise I won't block you or unfriend you on Facebook.